Welcome. You have chosen, or have been chosen, to view a proposal for a modern performance of Bertolt Brecht's The Life of Galileo, presented by Aaron Thiel, created and submitted for partial fulfillment of Yellowbrick and New York University's Performing Arts Industry Essentials program. In our post-truth pandemic society, this production emphasizes the pursuit of the real in the face of oppressive systems. It accomplishes this by following concepts laid out in Romani theater creator Mela Dragan's essay, When Theater Will Fully Become Itself, Digital Supra-Theater and the Fight for an Inclusive Theater, as well as the Brechtian concept of epic theater and the 20th century idea of agitprop, updated for our 21st century digital age. Set in 17th century Italy, Brecht's Galileo details the scientist's conflict with the papacy after discovering that Earth is not at the center of creation, but one of many planets orbiting many stars. His discovery, and his use of the scientific method, threaten to undo established religious and political authority. Our version largely leaves behind the play's original setting and transplants it into a futuristic dreamscape, where truth is even more subjective, a world where Galileo's scientific method has led to the atomic bomb, global climate disruption, and an increasingly real and hostile cyberspace. This production takes its design inspiration from the Italian Renaissance of the historic Galileo and merges it with the dystopian worlds of George Orwell and Suzanne Collins, and the cyberpunk aesthetics of the Wachowski's Matrix trilogy and the works of Philip K. Dick. Rather than attempt to maneuver the traditional confines of stage directing, digital supra-theater merges live performance and film into a wholly unique medium. Similar to a live event such as professional wrestling or an award show, our production of Galileo uses pre-recorded sequences, scenes taking place entirely off-stage presented via live stream projection, and performance directly before and within the audience. A key component of this production is its otherworldliness. As if this were a video game and each character a player's avatar, the costumes are an eclectic mix of medieval, modern, and postmodern fashion and accessories, with much of the inspiration taken from countercultural and subcultural movements. With the playwright's emphasis on class analysis throughout the play and much of his life's work, it would discredit him to ignore it here. While the noble courts and cathedrals are filled with high collars and long, flowing robes, the show's proletariat will be dressed head to toe in DIY outfits. Similar to costuming, the scenic and prop design will carry on the otherness of the production. Where there are sets, there will be gray and silver boxes that may be used and moved in a multitude of ways. However, given the emphasis on the digital both as a production of supra-theater and as a design characteristic, far more of this show's visualization will emerge through projection and lighting design. Props will not look as we expect them to, instead stepping into a surreal version of our world, and when props of this nature cannot be made or acquired, actor and audience will see them through theater of the mind and pantomime. Through technical aspects, Galileo will transform into the science fiction this production intends it to be. Like modern mass-market cinema's use of the green screen or LED sets, this world will come to life through projection and lighting, which will allow it to expand far beyond the proscenium arch. Additionally, projections will allow scenes taking place offstage to be seen by the audience. The reality is deepened through the sound and music. Augmented voices, distorted speech, and a synth and vaporwave-inspired soundtrack will dial the audience into our cybernetic world of Galileo. As a work of artistic theater, an acknowledged piece of agitprop, and a biography of a foundational scientist, this production will pitch a big tent on outreach toward a wide variety of interests. Classroom visits, for example, will go not only to theater students but also to those interested in audio and video technology. Marketing will rely heavily on social media and not limit itself to theater mainstays like Facebook or Instagram. Rather, It will engage with new platforms and manipulate algorithms to reach a broad audience. Given that the event will be live-streamed, the production will connect with theater audiences and publications wherever it can be viewed, as opposed to an inordinate focus on the immediate locality. One may have noticed the low-budget figures listed throughout this presentation despite emphasis on technological design. As a manifestation of supra-theater, this production rejects the idea of a budget. While fundraising will be attempted through crowdfunding such as GoFundMe and mutual aid, as well as traditional monetary avenues such as grants, it is a dedication to the spirit of epic theater and digital supra-theater that will decide the fate of this production. Despite its science fiction nature, this is not a play of spectacle, but of words, ideas, and transformations. In conclusion, you are likely asking, why now? Why is a science fiction production of Galileo necessary? You may be asking, why now? Why is this production of Galileo necessary? As stated at the beginning of this presentation, this performance intends to accomplish two things: to showcase the abilities of supra-theater and to rouse people to the cause of truth. Digital supra-theater is not a hypothetical philosophy. It is the necessary evolution of theatrical arts. Following the industry's collapse amid the COVID-19 pandemic and its long-rooted hypocrisies brought to light during the racial and social justice protests of 2020, it is understandable to hope for a return to normalcy, to see comforting shows that affirm what we wish to believe. This normalcy, however, for too long shut out low-income and minority artists from participating in our common cultural art form. It demanded long, grueling hours of work, often for little to no pay, took advantage of young professionals hoping to gain experience, and refused to listen to marginalized voices if they were not outright silenced. Through the tenets of supra-theater, the enhanced blend of filmed and live performance, we will elevate these voices and break down gates kept shut for too long. With supra-theater's focus on the future and inclusivity, it may seem ironic to use a play written by, for lack of a better term, a dead white man. Unfortunately, Brecht's words, originally written to critique the authoritarian regimes and economic systems of the 20th century, must still be heard in our 21st. In the same way Galileo's discovery forever altered the world, the COVID-19 pandemic has uprooted our contemporary socio-economic structure. By using Brecht's epic theater and converging it with Dragon's supra-theater, we will reach a mass audience and convince them to stand when truth is threatened. It is true our field, our art form, our world is changed. But it is a lie that we must go back to the way things were. Theater of the 21st century must adapt to the new realities it finds itself in, not only by adopting technology to build audiences and broaden participants, but by utilizing that technology to inspire change. And this will be accomplished through supra-theater, and supra-theater will be accomplished through Galileo.